I would request Sri Jayendra Khanna sir, Honorary Secretary of GCCI, to felicitate Srimati Tejaswini P. Kumar, Commissioner of Service Tax, with a memento. Thank you, sir. I would request Shri Narsingh Agrawal, Honorary Secretary Regional of GCCI, to welcome Shri J.S. Negi, Additional Commissioner of Service Tax. I would request Shri S.V. Modi, sir, Chairman of GCCI Indirect Tax Committee, to welcome Shri Amarjit Singh, Additional Commissioner of Service Tax, with a memento. Thank you very much, sir. I would request Shri R.O. Jaitley, Superintendent of Service Tax, to give a presentation on overview of new taxation system.
Good afternoon, Madam Commissioner. Good afternoon, all other senior officers. Good afternoon to office bearers of the judge. As you all know, before the enactment of the Finance Act 2012, only those services that were specified under Section 65(105) of the Finance Act 1994 were taxed under charging Section 66. However, from 1/7/2012, this section has ceased to operate. This section has ceased to operate, and a new Section 65B has come into force since 1/7/2012. We have to see what is the activity. It is one of the basic ingredients for an activity to be a service. That is, there must be an activity. Second ingredient is, it has to be reciprocated by a consideration. An activity has to be reciprocated by a consideration. That is, I must get something. When I am performing an activity, I must get something, a consideration. Consideration may be monetary, may be non-monetary in nature, that is in kind. Consideration has not been defined. Therefore, for monetary consideration, everyone can refer to Section 65B(33). And for valuation of non-monetary consideration, Service Tax Determination of Value Rules 2006 are already in place. So one can refer to those rules for valuation of non-monetary considerations. एक बात इसमें ध्यान रखें कि बार्टर सिस्टम जो है वो परमिसिबल नहीं है. Third ingredient, there must be presence of at least 2 persons, as can be seen. There must be presence of at least 2 persons. And fourth one, there must be an activity being carried by one person for another person. So when all these 4 ingredients are satisfied, it is a service. Needless to say, going by the definition, it is needless to say that service to self is out of the purview of the definition of service, because it requires at least 2 persons. So service by one department to the another department, it is outside the purview. This definition does not contain explanations. What you are seeing on the screen, it does not contain explanation. So please, for exclusions and exceptions, please go through the explanations in detail and then take your decision. Otherwise, it will lead to some different results. It does not exclude the services contained in negative list. There is no exclusion for the services contained in the negative list. Therefore, services that are in the negative list are covered in the definition of service. However, the charge on those services is relinquished under Section 66B. We will see the definition and then you can see that the charge on those services dispensed with in Section 66B. That is the definition. Let us move to Section 66B. Earlier the charging section was 66. It has now been replaced with a new section, Section 66B. There shall be levied a tax at the rate of 12% on the value of all services other than those specified in negative list. Here the charge is relinquished other than those specified in negative list, provided or agreed to be provided in taxable territory. This phrase, or agreed to be provided, it is retained from the earlier provisions under section 66, that is taxability on advances received, etc., which will be dealt by my fellow speaker Jigar Shah in detail in his presentation. Therefore, I am not going into detail. This section contains the terms taxable territory and negative list, and therefore definition of taxable territory has to be seen. And by one person to another person, it is already covered. Erstwhile section 66A, popularly known as reverse charge mechanism, is now replaced with new section 66C for determining the place of provision of service. For determining the place of provision of service, you may refer to section 66C. It will also be dealt in detail by Jigar Shah. However, I would like to say that one must refer to notification 30 of 2012 in this regard for the extent of service tax payable by the service provider as well as the service receiver. Notification number 30 of 2012. Everybody must refer the notification. Section 66E. Section 66E gives the list of declared services. You can see from the list of the declared services that almost all the services that were earlier taxed are there in this list, except for the service listed at serial number 5, agreeing to refrain from an act or tolerate an act or a situation or to do an act. This service was not there earlier. It means forbearance to an act. आपके एरिया में 2 ब्यूटी सैलून है और आप भी एक ब्यूटी सैलून खोलना चाहते हो. अगर वो 2 ब्यूटी सैलून वाले आपसे कहते हैं कि भाई आप ब्यूटी सैलून मत खोलो, हम आपको पे कर देंगे, and they give you money, this is a consideration, this is an activity, this is forbearance to an act. We agree that we will not do so. So this is a declared service and liable to tax. इससे भी अच्छा एक एग्जाम्पल है, if there is a bid and if you refrain from the bid and accept money from somebody, then it is a declared service, and if you receive consideration, it is a declared service. अभी ऐसा ही एक एग्जाम्पल हमने we were discussing, Amarjit Singh sir. There is a split between a boyfriend and a girlfriend. The boy says that you don't marry this particular boy, you can marry any other boy. And if that girl receives money, it is a declared service. So this is like that. Serial number 5. I think it is clear. The rest of the services were already taxed. Only issue is here it is a declared service has been specifically mentioned in the definition of 65B44 because there were lot of ambiguity regarding these services and बहुत सी जगह पे इसको कंटेस्ट किया गया है जुडिशियल फॉरम्स में. So in order for the uniform application of the law throughout the country, the declared services are specifically listed. So this is the only purpose of declaring the services. So there remains no doubt about it. You can refer to notification 26 in this regard for abatement. It gives rate of abatement. Everybody can refer to notification 26 of 2012. Next we move on to the list of negative services. Services by government or a local authority. This is not absolute. There are certain exclusions which are not listed here. Please go through the exclusions. Please mark the word service by government. Service to government is taxable. It is not service to government. Word is not there. Therefore, service provided to a government is taxable. The government intends to have a level playing field. Services by the Reserve Bank of India, again, the word to is not there. Services by a foreign diplomatic mission located in India. Services relating to agriculture. Please refer to the definition of agriculture. You cannot mix up tomato with tomato ketchup, potato with potato chips. So please refer to the definition of agriculture. Trading of goods, it is in the negative list. Trading of goods, in the same breath I would like to say that also please refer to Rule 6 of Standard Credit Rules. The definition, it includes definition of exempted services, includes trading goods, and therefore Rule 6 will be attracted. So please go through that Standard Credit Rule also. Next is important, any process amounting to manufacture or production of goods. This definition has also to be seen in section 65B40. Earlier there was a concept of 2F. Now all the processes in the central excise tariff under section 3 and all the processes for manufacture of alcohol under state excise, those are all covered. So please go through the definition in 65B40. This is an important change. Rest you can forward. Admission to enter into access. Education services provided by preschool, schools and colleges. You can see private tuitions are not covered here. So it is not in negative list. Private tuitions and private tutors are supposed to pay tax. That's the renting of residential premises is in the negative list. You can rent your house without paying service tax. Service of providing loans and interbank. Loans on interest was already covered under Rule 6 of the Service Tax Determination of Value Rules. Service by way of transportation goods. Funeral, last one is the funeral, burial, crematorium or monetary services, including transportation of the deceased. So after death one can rest in peace, no taxes to be paid. ऐसा बोलते हैं कि only thing certain in life is death and taxes. Not only death and taxes both are certain. So liability will go once you die. So fortunately it is in the negative list. Now we go to the mega notification. Earlier around 88 notifications were there by way of which exemptions were provided. Now all the notifications are brought together in a mega notification. We can see the list of the mega notifications, the exemption contained in the mega notification. First one is clinical establishment in relation to healthcare. Here again various terms are defined. Go through the definitions. I am worried about the first one, clinical establishment in relation to healthcare services. Looking at my receding hairline, healthcare services in relation to transplant of hairs, it is not covered under the definition. So no exemption is available for hair transplant. So in that way, you go through the definitions contained in the notification also. So you can go through the list. Everybody can go through the list. Performing artists in folk or classical art forms. 39 are there. And last one, classification का flavor पूरा निकल नहीं गया है. There is a new section 66F for giving the concept of bundled services. किसी को ऐसा नहीं लगना चाहिए कि क्लासिफिकेशन कैसे करेंगे. तो bundled services का है classification. There are principles for governing the classification in case of bundled services, naturally bundled as well as not naturally bundled. 66F can be referred in this regard. Thank you.
We kindly request Srimati Tejaswini P. Kumar, Service Tax Commissioner, to share her insights.
Respected secretaries of the chambers, members of the trade, the other office bearers, my colleagues from the department, our guest speaker, and friends. We have met here this last month when the member service tax interacted with the trade. And again we are here to clear doubts on account of the changes made in the service tax administration. As you are well aware, over a period of time, the complexities of the service tax administration has made the central government to review the whole scheme and to move from a selective kind of taxation to a comprehensive taxation. You have heard our speakers giving you a broad overview of the changes. Now, to help you bridge this gap, to make this a smooth transition from the old regime to the new regime, the Central Board of Excise and Customs, as a trade facilitation measure, has asked all the commissionerates throughout the country to have monthly seminars with the members of the trade, so that all your assessment problems, we can collect them, all your queries, give it to the board in turn, who will take a uniform view. So the idea today was to meet you directly. All your problems so far as assessment, I would request you to give it to us, either directly or through the chamber. So far as the procedural problems, you are free to meet all of us, my officers. Mr. Negi and Mr. Amarjit Singh are here, and you are welcome to our office. We have also received some questions in advance, which we will take up, and depending on the time, any questions. But once again, let me make it clear that if it is a specific question, it is better you give in writing with the whole facts of the case, so that we can give the correct answer. Many a time I have noticed that for want of full facts of the case, we are not able to give proper clarification. In fact, it may misguide you if you do not give the full facts. Another thing I want to take this opportunity is, the Gujarat Chamber of Commerce, I would call upon them to act as an interface between the department and the trade. I have spoken to them just before this meeting to give us the list of all associations which are there in existence, so that they help us to tap this huge service tax potential. You may be well aware that the more advanced a country is, the more contribution the service sector provides to the whole GDP. the gross domestic product. In our country, though the service sector contributes more than 57%, still when it comes to the collection of taxes, we find that service tax at 95,000 crores last year is much below even central excise or customs. So under this new regime, our attempt is to tap this huge potential, not only as a service provider, but also as a service recipient. And also, as a citizen, we are all bound to participate in this exercise. You know, our country is poised on the verge of a big leap. We are one of the fastest growing economies. And therefore, I would impress upon you the importance of paying service tax. We are here to help you. Feel free to approach us. We are going to have monthly interactions in different places. And I request you to avail of this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Let us start our interaction with trade and industry members with Shri Amarjeet Singh, Additional Commissioner of Service Tax.
Good afternoon to you all. For the purpose of this conference, the department has invited certain questions about the trade so that we can analyze them and reply to them. And in the process, we have received only 6 questions. I would just give a brief on those questions. The first issue was raised regarding the intermediaries. Whosoever has raised this question, I would like to inform that this issue has already been referred to the board. So we are awaiting the response from the board. The issue is the applicability of Rule 9 and Rule 3 as explained by Mr. Jigar. There is a confusion. So this matter has already been referred. The second issue is, which has been referred to us, is regarding the sending of the ST1. It mentions ST1, I believe it is ST2. That's the registration certificate, which is supposed to be sent by email or by hand or by post. The issue is that most of the time the assessees are required to go personally in the division office to the superintendent and to get it. The idea has been, the point has been raised that since it has to be sent by post, so why do I have to go to the office and get it collected physically? Point is well taken. Will issue a clarification that it should be sent by post. There's no point on that. You should not be forced to come to the office to collect it. The third issue is that many of the assessees have applied for cancellation of the registration, and the issue has not been addressed for quite some time. It has been pending with the division, and the office is not replying. We have looked into this matter, and we assure you that we look into it, and whatsoever cancellation of registrations are pending, we'll look into it and we'll issue proper instructions on these matters. And the fourth issue was referred to abatement as well as availability of sender credit conditions. The suggestion is that as it should be in the recent changes, it was made essential for payment for claiming the abatement that one has to assure that no sender credit has been taken. The point is that how do I ensure that sender credit has not been taken by other person so that I am eligible to avail the benefit of the abatement. This issue, the board has consciously made this change in the law, so we'll refer this to the board. But as on today, this is the land of the law. Then issue number, the fifth question is that there has been so many changes, so many frequent changes, which is leading to the confusion. So why so many changes so frequent? We are still evolving, the service tax is still evolving, and the destination is GST. So this can't be helped. The last question is, yes, the last issue is regarding service tax with road construction industries. This is addressing to the issue whether there are related services, site preparation services or excavation services, which were earlier exempted specifically, and now today, as on today, the law is silent on that. This issue is already, again, among other issues, this issue has already been referred to the board. So we are awaiting the response from the board.